I just realized that I haven't made a YouTube video and I need to make one. I have been very busy working on Gail, the complete series, and I have decided to offer it as a free ebook at my website. And that's because in order for me to tell a full retelling of my life, I have to use sources that I probably would not be able to use if I was offering this at Amazon. Well, from what I understand, so this is going to be a free ebook, probably several. It's a collection of short stories, and the first one is titled Pen Pals, because when I watched the Star Trek The Next Generation episode Pen Pals, that's when I decided to write Brent Spiner, and I will have a link to that underneath this video. The password to read what I've done, I'm about, I'd say 90% done with it, is Pen Pals. And you can get a free download. What I'm going to do right now, it's available as a PDF. And when I'm done with it, I will create a Mobi file for those of you who have Kindle devices. And I will also create an EPUB file. From what I understand, what I'm hearing brain to brain, is that, and Brent Spiner is my literary agent, is that we are going with a traditional publisher for the paper versions of this. This could very well end up being a lifetime project because writing is a lot of work and it's taking me a long time. I can only get like maybe 1 page a day done of writing, and this is probably going to be the size of an encyclopedia. Basically, Jesus told me to cancel Bible for Future Saints, and he wants me to write a collection of short stories about the adventures that I and my men have gone through. And he said because he wants it to be, he wants my life and the stuff that I've gone through with my men to teach people valuable lessons that they can learn from for future generations. And I thought, and I was willing to put out Bible for Future Saints, which had over 1 million words. So I guess Jesus figured, I mean, he spoke to us through Buddha. I guess he figured that since I was willing to write a book that had over 1 million words, why not make it in a manner that the book that he wanted. He actually left some rainbows as a sign that he approved of the way I was going about the project, and I'll have a link to that page underneath this video. So he definitely approves of this project. He's the one who gave me the title. He told us through Buddha, Gail, the complete series. In order to tell this story and not compromise my artistic integrity, I have to offer it as a free ebook. I'm hearing brain to brain, and I'm not sure how accurate this is, but that we do have a traditional publisher. Apparently there is going to be a paper version. The first book, at the rate I'm going, will probably be in a couple of months. Yeah, it's going to be a series of books. I'm going to be writing so many stories that they could make a television series off of this. And they might end up doing that, and it might be at Gabriel Chana Fox News 00 on cable. So, right now I know the first short story is going to be called Pen Pals. It's in the form of historical narrative. The next one will probably be, it's going to be talking about more of the budding relationship between me and Brent as we were pen friends. And what led up to Laurie McBride being interjected between us in September 1992. And I also believe that Gene Roddenberry was murdered because of the fact that Brent Spiner was in love with me. Yeah, see, because and this you'll get this in the first short story, Pen Pals. I started writing Brent in September 1989. That's when Gene Roddenberry had his first really bad stroke that caused him to go into a wheelchair. The timing on that, I think, is very suspicious. And I note that in the first short story that I wrote. And what's really interesting is in the second short story, I will be talking about the Star Trek The Next Generation episode, The Drumhead, which was inspired by the fact that I was going through persecution with the state over my son at the time. And then my next story will be going into that. So the Jesuits and Satan were closing in on me and Brent. They were working on me first. With Brent, they had to be a little more careful. They had to get Roddenberry out of the way. What's interesting, though, is that Roddenberry was one of the writers on The Drumhead. And I think they murdered him for this. It's like he was not allowed to make an episode that honored what I would, Yeah, the second story that I write, you'll get it. The writing quality is very high because I am a good writer. I've actually had writing that made it on the New York Times bestseller list, and the Jesuits would switch out the writing. I mean the internet version. They can make clone versions of the internet. They switched out one version of the internet with another to get my name quickly out. This was with my novel Silver Skies, I think back in 2005 when they first published it, and it was really good back then. I actually have a first draft of Silver Skies, which is the one that Steven Spielberg worked off of to make the movie with Matthew McConaughey, which is much better than my published version at Amazon. I may offer that at my website too, so people can read that. But I am so busy right now, just juggling so many things. I'm a website manager. I have to do the Gail commandments, and then I have my Patreon stuff that I have to do. I cook, and I'm working on my writing. And then I gotta make these YouTube videos. So I am very, very busy, and I am cutting back a little bit on some of my cooking and like getting ready washed lettuce and trying to get some time savers in there so I can have more time to work on my writing. But I got to make sure I get my rest, take care of myself, or Jesus isn't going to be happy, because Buddha said, yes, Jesus said, if you want to, he wants you to work on this project, but he said make sure you keep your zen, that you don't, that you take care of yourself. So Jesus wouldn't, this is going to be a long-term project anyways. There's no way that I can write everything that I and my men have been through, which would be like probably 500 short stories. I've seen maybe 300. I don't know. It's been a lot. I think this is going to be a lifetime project. And fortunately, Jesus has got me to the point where I'm pretty much financially independent. And so I can afford to offer the stories as free ebooks. And it's my labor of love for Jesus. Because I wanted to leave, because God the Father canceled the Bible. I wanted to leave Jesus with another Bible that he could leave with his followers. But he didn't want me to add any more to Bible for Tribulation Saints. He said it's finished. Where I ended it in February 2020 is where he wants it to end. He said, but I had a vision in my mind for another book. So apparently he wants people to read what I and my men have gone through and learn what we've learned. But in order for you to learn what we've learned, I have to go really deep. Because a lot of what has happened to us and why we made the decisions that we did had to do with who we are deep down inside and the nature of the relationship that I had with Brent Spiner. And that's why I'm starting off with 1989, when I first started writing Brent, because unless you understand the unusual pen friendship relationship that I had with Brent, that's like a foundation. You've got to understand that and get that to get me and Brent and why, you know, to have it all make sense. So yeah, it's going to be, basically my goal is, for every short story I write, is to create a record of what I and my men were going through in our hearts and souls as we went through our episodes together, our adventures, our trials, so that you can learn, so that you can vicariously experience what we went through, what we were thinking and feeling, and the lessons we learned from all of our life experiences together. And some of those life experiences are going to include Jesus, because he was involved with some of the stuff that we went through. Like the time when Satan beat him up and almost killed him. But that story might be 6 years from now, because I'm doing them in order. Because in order to understand us, you really have to go back to 1989. Yeah. So you go ahead. I'll have a link underneath this video to the short story that I wrote, that I'm working on right now. I'm going to, at my website, all you have to do is click on my books tab at the top, or books in progress tab in website. I've also got a post entitled Gail, the Complete Series in Progress. So you can check them all out. If you visit my website regularly, I will be posting every time I finish a short story, creating a separate post for each short story as I finish them. And then at the Gail, the Complete Series page, I'm going to start establishing links to each short story after I finish them. And then you can click on the link and I will supply the password and you can get in there and read it. I believe the writing quality, even though I'm doing the ebooks for free, and I don't think I'll be making any money from this, I plan to have the writing quality at professional level. I am not going to skimp on writing quality. In fact, that's one of the reasons that I want to do it totally self-published. I mean totally, where I'm even publishing it from my website and not even using the Amazon site. Because I want to have complete artistic freedom so I can tell this story completely and truthfully. Yeah. And the way the Jesuits are so, how do I say, so involved with my life and Brent Spiner's life, that to be able to tell the story in a manner so that you'll get it, so that you'll really understand me and my men, I have to do it this way. The good news is, though, is I do think my husband Brent, who's my literary agent, has signed on with a traditional publisher. I don't know who it is. He hasn't mentioned it to me. But the book will probably be available. It's going to be coming out as a series of books through the traditional publisher. And if you listen to Gabrielle Chana, Fox News, you can probably find out where you can get the paper versions when it comes out through a traditional publisher. I frankly do not have room in my apartment for any more books. So any new books I get are all ebooks anyway. So I will be reading my own books as ebooks on my Kindle Paperwhite, my ebook reader. And I will be making a Mobi file for those who have Kindles. So yeah, if you're really poor and you can't afford to buy my books, that will not be a problem anymore. In fact, it's very possible that my men may supply free ebook readers to the world to help everybody to have access to this. Because my life story is that important, and I want everybody to be able to read this. From what I understand, the writing quality is so high that it's getting the attention of the Nobel Prize Committee again. I seem to win lots of Nobel Prizes, so yeah. You know, I get so many of these Nobel Prizes, I just kind of like take them in stride now. My goal is I want to make sure that I leave an accurate record of my life so that when I go on, whenever that happens, that future generations can read my story and experience it along with me and learn the lessons that I and my men have learned. And that's going to require me to use all my writing skills and to, yeah. And writing is a lot of work. Even writing nonfiction historical narrative, because I'm borrowing a lot of novel writing techniques, and it's a lot of work. And I have to get into the zone when I write. That works for me when I write narrative format. It's kind of like what the fiction writers call omniscient voice, but I do it. I've gotten a lot of practice with it. So yeah. Anyways, check the link underneath this video. I'm going to try to get to bed at a decent time tonight, and read up on what it was that Brent Spiner, what got me and Brent started. It's actually pretty fascinating, and I think I did a really good job capturing it. Now, I find it pretty interesting that Gene Roddenberry had a super bad stroke the same month. That put him in a wheelchair the same month that I started writing Brent Spiner. And yes, and Brent admitted to me, I used to get phone calls about once a month, and I would pick up the phone, and there would be silence, because I left Brent my phone number in the letters I wrote to him, and there would be silence on the other end. And I thought, oh, maybe that's Brent. I did give him my phone number that night. I didn't believe it. But Brent verified. He told me that was me, Gail. Yes, you got to read the story. Yeah. Brent told me that the way I described his reaction to my first letter to him was right on. That's what he's been telling me brain to brain. He says, I'm amazed how well you know me now, Gail. He said, the way you described how I reacted to the first letter that I got from you in the fan mail is exactly how I felt. He basically, it was with Brent, it was love at first sight. I sent him a photo of me in a red church dress with my husband and son in the picture. He told me when he looked at that picture, it was love at first sight. And I explained to you how that happened. So it's in the first short story, Pen Pals. Yeah, I actually think, from what I understand, this first short story is getting the attention of the Nobel Prize Committee. So you may want to check it out. You say, I can't believe you would offer something free if it's that good. Maybe that's why it is that good, because I'm not writing it for money. Yeah, I am. I'll be honest with you. When Jesus left us in June, me and Zach Knight, we both cried because we just knew we'd miss him. It's not that we felt he did the wrong thing. I think he did the right thing, but we've been with him for 10 years as our dear friend, and when he left us for good, I mean, he's kind of like still here because he's omnipresent, but I just felt like I wanted to keep doing stuff like I was making love to him. So I'm making love to Jesus with my writing. It makes me feel so happy. It's kind of like a long-distance platonic relationship, and that's why I'm offering it for free. I said, I am going to give you the best writing in the world. I mean, he requested this project, and I want it to really bear my heart so that people will, and the hearts of my men, who I understand very well. And I'm a good writer, so I can pull it off. If you don't believe me, go check what I've done so far. Another reason why I want to write myself is because in the past, when I've written something really good, what Jesuits would often do is people would order the book like from Amazon, and then Jesuits would have their agents switch the book out with an inferior version in the mail, and the recipient would get the wrong book. It wouldn't be one that I wrote, it would be one that had been tampered with to make it inferior to what I wrote. So, yeah, that's another reason I'd like to offer this at my website, because the story is too important to be tampered with. I want people to get what I wrote, not some Jesuit tampered version. So, and by having a free ebook version out there, if the Jesuits tamper with the paperback, which goes to a traditional publisher, it'll get, the person who gets it is going to compare it with the ebook version online and say, hey, this is different. So that's one advantage of having a free ebook online. You may say, well, they could do this through your website. They could, but Zach Knight is the administrator of my website, and he's probably going to be really good at keeping the Jesuits out. So, and we've also taken over Google, and we also have our own search engine called the Gabriel Chana search engine, which you can get through my website. So we're kind of like building from the bottom up, starting from the bottom up, working around the Jesuit system, I call it the Jesuit matrix. And we have our own search engine. Basically, I'm my own publisher, my own writer. I manage my own website. So like I said, I'm really busy. But it's worth it, though, to be able to have a voice. And then I'm president on top of that. Like, I just made some executive orders this week because we've really had to clamp down on the Jesuits because they're causing all sorts of problems. What's new, right? So anyways, check out the link underneath this video. I'm excited about doing this project for Jesus. I think that I'm going to be able to write a very high quality book series where people will be able to lose themselves in our stories and learn valuable lessons, which is my goal. They will experience along with us what we went through and what we learned. So anyways, I had to make my video for this week. You all have a great week, and keep doing those Gail commandments.